Hello and welcome to Billy Ho Sports. This is a special presentation of Delmar Racing Weekend. We got a couple of stakes races to cover, and we are going to jump directly into the past performances. And I will have a couple of race replays along the way to cement our final selections in these two great races. We are going to start things off with race number 8, which is the San Diego Handicap, and that is going a mile and a 16th on the Delmar Dirt. Then next we will cover the feature grade 1 being Crosby Sprint with some of the best sprinters in the country going at it. So right now, I'm hoping you're subscribing to the channel. If you haven't already done that, you're clicking that like button because that's going to help immensely spread the word of Billy Ho Sports across the YouTube channel and get us like-minded horse racing enthusiasts all together. So help do that also by jumping on X, formerly Twitter, and following me at Billy Ho Sports, and then sharing my content there would go a long way to help the channel as well. So let's get into race 8, and that is going to be the San Diego. Post 1 is Express Train, John Sheriff's Trains. Mike Smith rides. After a strong 5-year-old season, son of Union Rags took the entire 2023 off. Recently made his return in the Kona Gold Stakes, where ran pretty evenly, pretty well. I mean, it was the Chosen Vron who's in this race. Happy Jack, the Chosen Vron and Happy Jack are on the card today. They're not in this race because they are sprinters, and this one is a route. So they started him off after that long layoff with a 6.5 furlong sprint to just get his feet wet, and which will be very interesting to see how he does being off 3 months. Looks a lot fitter. Has run some pretty good, got a bullet work on the 13th of July. So gonna definitely need more than a 95, but has run in the past going all the way back to the April of 2022, the California grade 2, the San Diego Handicap grade 1. These were wins and seconds, won 3 straight, all triple digits, ran a 105, a 108, Stiletto Boy beaten, and then got beat by. So this Express Train has back class all day. So will be an interesting one to watch. Katona, I don't think is going to be around in this one. Doug O'Neill trains. Bred looks like bred for short distances, so probably not going to handle the added distance. Although did win a mile and a 70. So, but I don't think I'm going to be using this one. Dr. Venkman is kind of an interesting 4-year-old by Ghost Zappa. The Triple Bend was a pretty good run. Just didn't have the kick down the stretch. Pretty slow pace, -15, -21 right here. You can see 23:45. Santa Anita, you're running 21s for an opening quarter all day. So 21:44 would have been like a typical time probably for a sprint. So that one was a bit on the slow, and which allowed Happy Jack and to get clear of Dr. Venkman in that one, I think. Number 4 is your favorite, Arabian Night. Obviously, Bob Baffert, Juan Hernandez, bringing them back finally after 8 months off from the Breeders' Cup Classic, which was a very good race for him. Went right to the lead and then just kind of gave it up in the stretch. Just didn't quite have the speed. I mean, plus this is speed right here, +10, +11. This is 45, 110 for the 3/4 in a classic distance of 10 furlongs. 105 speed rating, 107 previous to that, and the big Pacific win at Delmar. So win on this track. Clearly the best horse. Bob usually has them ready. I mean, you got a 5 furlong workout in 59 handily. I like to see handily when these horses are coming off a break. 12 out of 104. And then 2 of 66 of those works that day. That's pretty strong to me. I'm not a great judge of workouts, But when I see the rankings and I know they've run a little faster, and especially when they've been urging the horse to do more work in the last several, this was a gate work way back in June. So they're really gearing him up here. You can see that. So I think Arabian Night will be ready to pop first asking of 2024. So I'm not really too awful worried about that one. Post 5 is Newgrange, which is Philip D'Amato. Kimura Kazushi will ride. And this one is just a tick below on the speed figures. The 87 he earned for the Santa Anita handicap wasn't real great. Was forwardly placed, asked, but weakened in the stretch. That's going to classic distance. We are shortening up in this one, so that could help his chances. But I don't think he's on the level of in any of the top choices here. So I'm likely going to pass on that. Subsandador scratched. So we won't have to discuss that one. Don't really have much in the way of track bias, but I can tell you right now, it's going to be early speed and pressing speed all day long with these horses. So basically, when it comes down to the selections, I think this is definitely a soft enough landing spot for Arabian Night. Just the 105. I mean, these are just two huge. Ran in the Haskell too. Actually, pretty good third place to go Rocket Ride and Mage in the Haskell last year too. So won the Southwest beginning the Derby Trail, but just didn't had to skip things. I believe it was just for training purposes, or there might have been an injury. I can't remember, but I do recall them putting him on the shelf for the Derby Trail. So this horse is going to have I think, a pretty good looking 4-year-old season ahead of him, and I think it starts here at the San Diego handicap. So put Bob on the board for that. The two horses that do interest me are Express Train and Dr. Venkman underneath. Dr. Venkman by Go Zapper failed his favorite last time, but ran in the Triple Bend, was a pretty solid outing, was defeated by Happy Jack, who's in the other race we'll discuss in a second. But Express Train, I think, is a pretty solid outing. Like I said, been off for a long, long time, but this race at 6.5 was a pretty good outing. I think probably not on the level of winning this race coming back out, but did win it way, way back in July of 2021, won the San Diego handicap way down here. So the horse can do it. So it would be a surprise if he won, but not a stunner. So might get some value on that. But we are going to go right into the Bing Crosby. So let's jump over to that. And now, before we do that, I'm asking you again, just subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. That's very helpful. Race to 3,000 subscribers. We're going to have coverage all summer long. We still got the Travers coming up next month and a lot of other great stakes races. And then obviously this is Delmar. We're going to be here in the fall for the Breeders' Cup. So keep that in mind. So click that like button. Give me a follow on X at Billy Host Sports. Set your notification bell too while you're at it so you don't miss any of the great stakes racing coverage. Let's continue. 6 furlongs on the dirt, Bing Crosby grade 1. Really, really strong field. You can see Prime Power has closed the game sugar over the Chosen Vron. And I'll mention the Chosen Vron, horses like that, Happy Jack, things of that nature, because they're ranked in the DRF top 10 of sprinters. And the Chosen Vron and Skelly are amongst the 2 top sprinters in the country, although neither one of them run in many grade 1 races. So this is kind of a challenge for Vron, I would say, and a put up or shut up for a few of these horses. We start with Anarchist, and that one is Doug O'Neill and Kimura Kazushi will ride, 5-year-old by Distorted Humor. First start of 2024 was not great, but was out front, weakened in the stretch to finish 6 by 8. Not a great in the Kelly's Landing, but that was a monster race. Close the game sugar, Angkor, Hoist the Gold. Lots of competition coming off your first race in almost a year. So probably going to improve on the second start, working sharply for the return. So probably one to keep your eye on. See It Through, I think, is a complete toss. Uh, Number 3 is Straight No Chaser. That one is Dan Blacker. Welcome back, Dan, who was on a long term suspension. That's why you see Juan Landeros, his assistant trainer, take over the duties while he was gone back in 2023. So he came out and led the way in the run happy, but gave it up down the stretch, weakening to Joey. What was it? Joey Freshwater, I think is the name of the horse. I covered this race, the run happy. So I think that it was a pretty solid effort. They backed him off down the stretch when they knew he was weakening. So that hence the 83 late pace number. So I can forgive that to an extent. First out, I think it's definitely going to be a different story. Blacker, this is bullet work right here on July 20th. First out of 66, going 59 at 5 furlongs. That's really, really good. That just tells me that they're really gearing this one up handily. I always like to look for that too. If they're really wanting a horse coming in fit, I think he will be fit. Straight No Chaser, definitely a contender. This one is odd. One Giant Game going back or trying the sprint, I guess. Hasn't run shorter distance since April. They ran a mile, ran second for an optional claiming way back in the day. Actually won going a mile and an eighth in the Cornhusker. 107, that's his career best race there. Went wire to wire, Giant Game. But this one I was going to immediately dismiss because I've seen enough of him to know that he's just not that good. But the interesting part about it is he's an early speed horse, kind of a front runner. If they go back to that style where he was running these 107s and way back here where the Whitney and everything was, then only going 6 furlongs, could be possible this horse is competitive, but I'll have to see it first. Roll On Big Joe is a scratch. Close the Game Sugar, put up or shut up horse, 104 100. Kelly's Landing, really just the only graded stakes effort was a 4th. Not too bad, going 6.5 furlongs on the turf at Kentucky Downs, but you can see this horse has graduated in his 4-year-old season and trying to get up to the big times. The Aristides was a big win running down Skelly, which is the top rated sprinter in the country. Skelly got off to a very slow start in that race, burned a lot of energy racing up to the front. Then that probably allowed Close the Game Sugar to run him down in the stretch. But to his credit, Close the Game Sugar came right back in the Kelly's Landing, ran 100 speed figure and won going away. Beat Anchor, beat Hoist the Gold. I mean, that's some pretty tough competition there. So definitely deserving of first in prime power, but shipping across country, racing at Delmar for the first time. Not so sure. Changing jockey too. I love Umberto Rispoli. 36%. He's on a tear starting off the meet. 5 wins and 14 starts. So can't go wrong there. You might as well get the Irad Ortiz of Delmar, so to speak. But that one's going to be a strong contender. Happy Jack is post position 7, 5th in prime power. Did bit of disrespect going on here. I think ran really tough against the Chosen Vron in the Kona Gold. I'm going to show you that race, but I'll have something to say about it when we get to the Chosen Vron here in just a second. So we have Happy Jack, Doug O'Neill, Ed Maldonado is going to ride. That was a 102 Brisnet for the Triple Bend win. Was on the former Derby trailer. You can see ran in the Kentucky Derby. Wasn't very good. Wasn't very good in the Preakness, and then gave it. Then just dropped it for optional claiming, where he won but wasn't claimed. Then they started slowly working him back. The Jerkins grade 1 at Saratoga didn't really fare all that great, but then the 23 season was just a couple of races, and then given the summer off after the Kelly's Landing, so they really worked him up, and it seems like they've got him straightened out pretty good now from the Doug O'Neill barn. So could be a contender at some decent odds. The chosen Vron is going to be the one to beat. Obviously, Eric Krujak, I believe is how that's pronounced. Close enough. Hector Barrios, long term, rode him in every race. He's only lost one race pretty much on this whole page. You can see was that fifth in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, where Elite Power, Ganite, Nakatomi, just probably a little bit better talent than him. So the fifth wasn't horrific, ran evenly against the best of the best, pretty much. And but came right back off of that in later on in November, just a couple of weeks later, won the Cary Grant fairly easily. Then was given the rest of the year off. Then just came out hot fire from January all the way up. But just the one graded 3 stakes win. So, but big 104 figures. This one, this Thor's Echo, I'm not drawing a line through it. He obviously won, but 0.05 odds. It was like a 4 or 5 horse race. There was absolutely no competition. It was really just a soft primer for this race, in my opinion. Jackstown is your last choice. An interesting one, by the way. Bob Baffert came out on broke his maiden first out at Delmar in July of 2022, and then hasn't raced since then. Came back in June of 2024, ran a 104 right out of the gate, optional claiming, working sharply for this race. So could be just coming completely out of left field. Bob Baffert's been known to do that before. He wouldn't enter this horse if he didn't think he had a chance. So could be an outside play for a piece, but I don't think that you can put him in your top choices. So the chosen Vron and that race with Happy Jack down the stretch, I thought the chosen Vron was more not so much handridden, but didn't take a lot of urging to kick clear of Happy Jack. I just think that's how much clearly better he was than Happy Jack. So I put some distance between them two when it comes down to the final selections. So let's get right to that. It is a matter of trying to beat the favorite here. So you noticed I did mention the Happy Jack in the Kona Gold. Close the Game Sugar is a new challenger. It's put up or shut up. But like I said, the combination of the travel plus new jockey, I don't think that's as bad, but moving up in class might be a little bit too much to ask for him. But the one that I really think is the most likely to upset is Straight No Chaser. I like the fact that, even though it had been a long time since he's raced, he's got one in under his belt. Blacker is back looking to make some marks here. Freezu's looking to get off the snide. He's won one of 19 starts. So maybe this will be one of those. So looking for this one, if you might get really good odds, 6-1 or better, would be worth the value, especially to include in exotics. So I'd still put the chosen Vron on top. I'd put Straight No Chaser with them, Close the Game Sugar, and then maybe Happy Jack after that. A combination of either Happy Jack or Anarchist, one of those two are coming home at the end. So that's your preview for the 2 big stakes races at Delmar. I'm looking forward to more great stakes action coming soon. So thanks for tuning in. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and it's very important to click that like button as well. Follow me on X at Billy Ho Sports. Be on the lookout for more content coming soon. And thanks for watching.